Ow! Okay. I'm here all week. On hold music I've been stuck with quite a lot recently. I can't get it out of my head. And it's this, it goes... And it's it sounds quite nice, doesn't it, when you play it like that, but over and over again it drives you mad. You see, if it was, it's relentlessly upbeat. This is so, I just want it to be a bit more, if it was minor, if it was... Sort of, we could really give a bit of drama to it. You know, just maybe it should start like that. So you go, oh, this is nice, and then you get bored of it, and then it goes, how long will I be waiting? You know, you don't know. So it's like there's an element of mystery. It should be open-ended. So you don't know how long you're going to be there. It resolves, you know, so, you know, something like that, and then your call's answered. If only if that would happen, but it doesn't. This one, the top A. Or perhaps this one. Actually, this one. I think it's this one. Because, you know, if you go too high, you lose the sort of sense of the notes. But if you go too low, it's just too boring. But this is very evocative. It's got mystery, romance, suspension, horror, and delight. I'd probably say Mozart, because I once got compared to him in the comedy context. I don't know quite what that is, but I think so, because I studied Mozart a lot. I feel a little bit of, you know, affinity with him. You know, he was, you know, he was a bit of a mischievous, and he had a bit of talent he didn't quite know what to do with, and all of these things I totally ascribe to, and he was, you know, perhaps didn't take it seriously, and again with me as well. So, but you know, there was a sort of simplicity about it, and his music, and something that stayed with me my whole life. You know, I first learned to play Mozart when I was a kid, when I was learning the piano. I probably was learning something like, you know, like Sonata in C. And what it gave me was the love of the Alberti bass, which of course Mozart was a great exponent of. And Alberti, of course, as you know, the composer, didn't really do much. You know, he's not really known much for his music, because most of his music was just that. But Mozart took that and ran with it, and so you get these, you know, a lot of his great works are sort of deceptively simple, but they're made, there's this texture that you get with it from the Alberti, like Sonata in C. Or the piece that I performed as a solo piece when I was at school, the Coronation Concerto in D, which is again got the Alberti. So without the Alberti, you're just playing the chord, you're playing the tone chord over, and it gets boring. And I think it livens up a lot of music. You know, the themes could be made more interesting with the Alberti. In fact, I've talked about this in my shows. You know, I like the Match of the Day theme. You know, with the Alberti, it makes it more interesting. No, it's a beautiful melody. It's difficult, isn't it? I did for a while think that it's, you know, "Oh mio bambino caro," you know, the Puccini aria, you know, like. But actually, when you're talking about the melody, if you take away the harmony, the melody doesn't quite stand up, you know. It needs the harmony to give it sort of resonance. So actually, I'm sort of thinking it possibly could be, and I know this sounds like it's such a cliche almost, and it's so well known and well revered, but you know Harold Arlen's beautiful melody, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, stands up on its own. You know, straight away. You know, you get the sense of the song just from the melody, and it's sort of the idea of this big octave leap of the melody suggests leaping over a rainbow, and it's sort of immediately sad, drops down immediately from the octave, and there's another little leap there, sort of, and it gradually comes down the whole octave. So it's a beautifully constructed, very simple melody, but it sort of mimics it suggests the lyric in a beautiful way. I think life is for my life's been, I've been very lucky. So it started out with I think I was just playing earlier. You know, Debussy's L'Arabesque, and I think that's because it started with this sort of beautiful kind of like rural idyll that I lived in. I grew up in the countryside, and it was sort of worry-free and sort of, you know, carefree. And I grew up in lovely fields and the countryside. And then there's sort of like, there's that moment in it which is a bit more serious, and that's when life takes on a little bit more responsibility. And then but now I'm back to full circle. I'm enjoying the natural world more, so I'd say perhaps that. Well, he's very straightforward. He's very meat and potatoes sort of character. You know, he's no nonsense. He's quite optimistic about life. Yeah. You know, he's kind of like quite jolly. He gets up in the morning. You know, he's got very simple needs, very simple tastes. So yeah, it would be something like that. Something jolly and optimistic. Something in major key, in C major. You know, nothing too complicated. And then, but of course, he's prone to melancholy introspection. So it might go that way. My favourite key signature is A minor. Because, of course, I always think that minor is more evocative than the major key. The major key, too eager to please. Like me, like me, like me, like me. I'm the major key. No, back off, I say. The minor key, more evocative. Some of the world's greatest music written in the minor key, you know. Fiorelisa. In the major key, not so much. Rubbish. Sounds like a Bavarian milking song. So the minor key is the relative minor of C major. So it's got all the access to all the keys that C major has. C major can get to F, you know, G suspended, all that sort of triumphal music. But you just, in the minor key, you've got access to the Fs, the D. It's sort of like, it's right there. It's like the C major's shadow, but it's more evocative, I think. Sound of London. Well, London is always moving. It's restless, you know. It's got kind of pulse to it, and. Sort of it's quite cool as well. It's quite stylish, timeless London. So I always think of London as, you know, it's kind of like a slightly dissonance, but also, I don't know, a cool, almost like a jazz vibe to it. Perhaps I could even appropriate some sort of jazz piano sounds here. One of the electric size. Well, how about this? Oh yeah, there we go. See. course, it's a bit innovative. So, of course, you sometimes get something. You can get that sort of thing. London's quite sort of contemplative sometimes, but mainly it's the rhythm. Sound 185 is, of course, Aha, Take On Me. That's basically what 1985 says to me. Aha. In French would be. Well, there's one sound I didn't do there, was there? There's the harpsichord. See that? There's not enough harpsichord on whole music. See, if I was listening to that, sort of like, It was like, yes. I would go, no, go back to the whole music.